Well, good morning. Today is Monday, the 24th of November, and it's exciting. We've got a lot going on here at the school today. Today's our only full day of class, and kids are excited and whatnot. But today we are going to be looking at Galatians chapter 5, verses 7 through 15. And Paul says, "You were running well. Who hindered you from obeying the truth? This persuasion is not from him who calls you. A little leaven leavens the whole lump. I have confidence in the Lord that you will take no other view, and the one who is troubling you will bear the penalty, whoever he is. But if I, brothers, still preach circumcision, why am I still being persecuted? In that case, the offense of the cross has been removed. I wish those who unsettle you would emasculate themselves, for you are called to freedom. You are called to freedom. Brothers, only do not use your freedom as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love serve one another. For the whole law is fulfilled in one word: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. But if you bite and devour one another, watch out that you are not consumed by one another." Legalism, rules and regulations, keeping the Old Testament law, circumcision, keeping the Sabbaths, all the different rules and regulations that the Jews had accumulated over the years that were extra biblical. It's such a problem that Paul starts out by using an analogy of running a race. You were running well. Who hindered you from obeying the truth? You know, it's amazing. Over the years, I've seen people start out well, come to faith in Jesus Christ, and everything's exciting and fresh, and you can see the Spirit working in their life, and it just doesn't sustain itself. I'm reminded of the parable of the sower. You know, the sower goes forth sowing precious seed. Some falls on the path and it's quickly devoured by the birds. Never takes root at all. Some sprouts out up quickly. Call that a flash in the pan Christian. You know, and the seed falls on a rock, and maybe it rains and it's moist and it sprouts, and it may actually send up a shoot. But as soon as the sun beats on it and the water dries up, it withers and dies. And there are a lot of people that profess Christ that point back to some experience they had years ago in church or at a revival or some evangelistic crusade. But there's no fruit. Their faith withered and died long ago. Then there's the seed that falls among the thorns. And the Word of God says that seed is like the Christian who starts out well, but the cares of this life are like the weeds that just choke out the life of this plant so that it doesn't bear any fruit. And then there's the seed that falls on good soil. And that seed produces much fruit. It's like the law of sowing and reaping. You reap what you sow, and you reap more than you sow. And so as I see what Paul is mentioning here, he says they started out in the truth. Their faith was taking root. But something has happened. He says that they've strayed from the truth, and this persuasion is not from God. And then he talks about a little leaven. Leaven is the whole lump. Leaven always speaks of sin. And so, this, to me, if we draw the analogy back to the parable of the sower, these are weeds. The cares of this life. And some of the cares of this life could be religious. Religious rituals, measuring up, keeping up with the proverbial Christian Joneses of the world. And that's not what it's about. And so as we think about what Paul is talking about here, he's trying to get this church at Galatia to return to the simple faith in Jesus Christ alone for their salvation. Plus nothing and minus nothing. It's not of works, lest any man should boast. And so Paul here he's using some colorful language, isn't he? You were running well, but not so much anymore. He's asking them to look in the mirror. He's asking them to examine themselves to see if they are in the faith. And so he gets through kind of pointing the finger at them, and then he brings them back to the truth. The whole law. They're trying to tell you to keep the law. And Paul says, listen, the whole law can be summed up in one commandment. Love your neighbor as yourself. But if you bite and devour one another, watch out that you're not consumed by one another. You see, legalism always leads to judging others. You judge yourself based on what you see in others. Well, I'm better than so-and-so, or I'm better than so-and-so. And this, you just can't, it doesn't work. We're supposed to measure ourselves against the righteousness of God. And that's it. And when we do that, we're like Isaiah, who saw the Lord high and lifted up. What did he say? Woe is me, for I am undone. I'm a man of unclean lips, and I dwell among a people of unclean lips. And so I think that this is what Paul wants them to get back to, that we're saved by faith in Jesus Christ because he's the only one that's righteous. And the imputed righteousness that we receive from Christ through faith is far superior than any self-righteousness we could ever achieve through the law. And so I just want to read this life step. I'm going to keep it short today because I don't have a lot of time here for the video. But he says, just because you've been freed from the obligation to fulfill the law in order to be saved, this doesn't mean we should throw off all prohibitions and do whatever our flesh wants to do. The desires of the flesh always lead to corruption and death. True freedom is not saying yes to every desire. It is saying no to every desire that will ultimately kill you. What specific ways are you tempted to yield to the flesh today? Ask the Lord to help you choose the path of freedom, not renewed slavery. That's all I have today. I hope you have a blessed day. We'll see you again tomorrow.